A man with a personal best of 20.84 seconds in the 200 meters went on the internet and told an 18-year-old who just ran 19.67 that his race was fake. That is the story, and it gets better from there. On April 12, 2026, inside the Sydney Olympic Park Athletics Centre, Gout Gout stepped onto the track for the men's 200-meter final at the Australian Athletics Championships. He was 18 years old. He had written something in his notes before the race. Not a prayer, not a mantra, just a number. I wrote down 19.75 seconds, and for the past week in my head, I've been telling myself I'm running 19.75. He crossed the line in 19.67. Gout became the first Australian to break the 20-second barrier in the 200 meters under legal wind conditions, setting a new world under-20 record with a tailwind of +1, 7 meters per second. He did not just break the record, he smashed it. And when the clock stopped, the sprinting world had a new name to obsess over. But not everyone was clapping. Within days, American sprinter Aaron Brown took to TikTok with a video that got millions of views. He had questions, loud ones. Brown claimed that Gout's record was clearly fake, and as fake as it comes. He posted a clip of wind blowing at Sydney Olympic Park, alongside a caption referencing trees blowing sideways, arguing that the actual conditions were far windier than the official readings suggested. And then former Olympic champion Justin Gatlin stepped in and questioned whether Gout could even perform at that level outside of Australia. So who is Gout Gout? Where did this kid come from? And how did he respond to being called a fraud at 18 years old? Let us start at the beginning, because this story does not start at a starting block. It starts somewhere much harder than that. Gout Gout was born in Ipswich, Queensland, as one of 7 children to parents from South Sudan's Dinka community, who moved to Australia 2 years before he was born. His parents fled South Sudan, spent time in Egypt, and eventually settled in Queensland with their family. Gout finished his studies at Ipswich Grammar School, where he graduated in December with straight A grades. The kid who would break world records was doing his homework and cramming for exams while training on a local track in a regional Australian city. His coach is not a world-class athletics name. She is a grandmother in her 60s named Diane Shepherd, and she had no formal track background when she started working at the school. The moment she saw Gout run, she told the school's headmaster that she would make him a star. She has been the only coach he has ever had. That relationship between a South Sudanese teenager and a grandmother with no formal coaching credentials, training together in Ipswich, producing a world under-20 record holder, is one of the most remarkable stories in athletics right now. His first real taste of success at a junior level came at the age of 13, when he won both the 100-meter and 200-meter races in a school competition. He was lanky, fast, and completely unbothered by the attention. His coach described him as having humility in bucket loads. That quality has not changed. The rise was methodical. He broke Usain Bolt's under-16 200-meter record in December 2024 at just 17 years old. He won silver at the World Under-20 Championships in Lima that same year. In 2025, he became the youngest sprinter ever to feature in a World Athletics Championships over 200 meters in Tokyo, reaching the semifinals. He ran 20.23 in his heat and 20.36 in the semis before being eliminated. Not a medal, but a statement from someone who was not supposed to be there yet. And then came Sydney. Gout walked away from the Sydney Olympic Park Athletics Centre as the world under-20 record holder. He had surpassed the previous record of 19.69, set by American sprinter Ariane Knighton in 2022. Fellow Australian Aidan Murphy also broke the 20-second barrier that evening, finishing second with 19.88. The top 7 finishers all ran personal bests on the same night. That detail became the centerpiece of the controversy that followed. His time of 19.67 seconds was faster than Usain Bolt's best mark as a teenager. Bolt ran 19.93 at the same age, and his fastest time before turning 20 was 19.88. Gout has bettered both of those marks. That is the context. An 18-year-old from Ipswich is now running faster at his age than the greatest sprinter who ever lived managed at the same stage of his career. Now here comes Aaron Brown. Brown observed that Gout, whose most recent race before Sydney was a 20.4, showed up and ran 19.67. He pointed out that Aidan Murphy, whose personal best was also 20.4, ran 19.88. He noted that Caleb Law, who had run 27 earlier in the year, ran 20.2. The argument was simple. Everybody in the race ran approximately half a second faster than they had ever run before. Brown's conclusion was that the time and the record could not be trusted. And here is the thing. The wind question is legitimate. That part of the debate is worth taking seriously. The legal limit for a tailwind is 0 meters per second. Gout's race was measured at plus 1.7. That is within the rules. The record counts. But when an entire field of sprinters improves by massive margins on the same afternoon, it is reasonable to ask questions. What is not reasonable is the way Brown asked them. Brown said on social media, "Never trust a time ran in Australia or New Zealand. The stuff will always be fake and never replicated anywhere else because it's going to be windy despite whatever the wind gauge says." He said it with the kind of certainty that comes from someone who has never been close to that level of performance themselves. According to World Athletics rankings at the time, Aaron Brown is currently ranked 3,612 in the world. His personal best in the 200 meters this year was a 20.84 set at the Don Kirby Elite Invitational in New Mexico. Read that again. The man calling Gout Gout's 19.67 clearly fake is ranked 3,612th in the world and ran 20.84 seconds this year. That gap between 20.84 and 19.67 is not a rivalry. That is a different sport happening on the same track than Justin Gatlin arrived. And his comments carried more weight because Gatlin actually knows what elite sprinting looks like from the inside. The former Olympic champion said directly, "You've got to do it outside of Australia. Show us you can do it outside of Australia. That's the thing. You can run fast in comfort. Everyone can run fast in comfort. But can you run fast in discomfort? That's going to be a challenge for him because he's so used to running in Australia." That is a fair challenge, and it is true that every single personal best Gout Gout holds across the 100 meters, 200 meters, relay, and 400 meters has been set on Australian soil. His performances outside Australia have been solid but not electric. The Tokyo World Championships semi-final exit at 36 seconds gives the critics something real to point at. But here is what Gatlin and Brown both missed. Gout Gout is 18 years old. He graduated from school 4 months ago. He trains in Ipswich with a grandmother who taught herself to coach, and he ran 19.67 seconds in a legal race at a legal event, watched by officials, timed by certified equipment, with a wind reading that cleared the permitted threshold. The record stands.